We all know the drill. Coach will, when he's ready, he'll give a little recap from last week and preview this week, and then we'll ask questions.
Well, last week my biggest regret is it's my job to tell the players how to win, and what I told them was that if we beat them up physically, that we would win the game. And I usually have 3 or 4 keys to the game, and I really boiled it down to one key. And I thought that the team responded, and I thought that we did beat them up physically. I thought we absolutely dominated the rushing yardage, which is just one indicator of winning physically, 241 to 96 in the rushing yardage. But it didn't get us a win, and there were some key reasons why. We needed to challenge them better in our passing game. We needed to make a better adjustment from losing Peter Castelli and be more dynamic in our passing game. We gave up 2 2-minute drives, so defensively in the passing game in obvious pass situations we should have done better. It was a little bit a tale of two different situations, because in passing situations on 3rd and long we were actually pretty solid and very solid, especially early on, and then in the 2-minute drill we weren't, which is usually those are very similar situations, and credit to Abilene for showing mental toughness and physical toughness and executing in those situations. And then the organization there at the end of the game, we had the back-to-back timeouts, ended up completely on the coaching staff for us to have to attempt a 2-point conversion from the 8-yard line. What was going on in that situation, we deliberately called quarterback sneak, thinking we had 3 downs to get in, and we didn't expect necessarily to get 4.5 yards and a touchdown. Not that we were unhappy with that, but the idea, at least the conversations going on in the headset, were, hey, we got 2 downs here. Do you think we can, we think we can sneak it twice and potentially 3 downs to win the game and bleed the clock down? And so actually at that point we were talking about taking a knee on what would be the conversion try, because if you take a 1-point lead with 20-something seconds or less left in the game, then the only way the other team can likely come back is something strange happening on the PAT, a blocked PAT for a 2-point conversion or something like that. So we didn't transition quickly enough as a staff to getting the right guys on the field. We took the first time out because of that situation. A lot of excitement too, a lot of excitement by players and coaches in that moment, and just didn't do a good enough job of transitioning to the 2-point conversion try. So the timeout should have addressed that. We should have had 11 guys out there ready to go in a huddle, and I had plenty of time to do it and just failed to get it done. So that put our defense in a situation where we were playing field goal by the opponent loses the game versus field goal by the opponent ties the game, and we didn't get that done in that 2-minute defensive challenge. I just talked to our team, as you guys know, right before I come in here, and goals are still attainable. Not the goal to win all of our home games. We failed at that. We're not going to win all of our home games, obviously, but we haven't even started conference play. In terms of the number of games we have left, there's 9 games left. 7 gets you in a playoff discussion. I feel like we have the team to do that. I'm not going anywhere with our expectations, with our goals. I don't think our players are either. I have a strong sense of that. But I told our players, let's stop talking about this kind of map to goals. The bottom line is our program is 0 for our last 15. That's an embarrassment to the school, the administration, the coaching staffs, the players here that were part of it in any way, players that preceded that. It's something it's going to be pointed at. It's something that's going to be scrutinized. We're 0 for 3 this season, and we're not going to be able to look at this season as its own season until we win a game. And so our new goal, just simply stated, is 1-0 this week, and then we adjust if we can achieve getting to 1-0. Stephen F. Austin is a team finding their stride. I thought in the first game they spread it out a lot more, tried to pass the ball quite a bit. I would count their first game as North Texas. They did play an opponent called North American, and I don't know if that's a club or a university. And no disrespect to them, but North American was just outmatched, and so we didn't take much time to study that one. But so Stephen F. Austin has had 2 games against really good opponents in North Texas and McNeese, In the North Texas game, they spread it out quite a bit more. Seemed to be a little bit more pass first, and then in the McNeese game, did a really good job of finding balance and finding a running game. One of their best players, 240-pound running back, Quaylen Jones, and number 14 on offense, the wide receiver, Isaiah Davis, really dynamic. When he gets the ball in his hands, he can just outrun the whole defense. He did it to North Texas. He did it to McNeese. Some unfortunate circumstances. I think they outgained McNeese quite significantly. Seemed to dominate the whole game, and then gave up 2 drives at the very end. Weren't able to get stops, and McNeese kind of went with a walk-off victory, including to end the first half. McNeese completed a Hail Mary. So in some ways, we're facing a team that's coming off of a heartbreaker that they should have won, and I think that's a lot like our guys are feeling. And then defensively, they've got a 340-pound defensive tackle. He does an incredible job plugging things up in the middle. And then they call number 26, Tony and Wanyu, I think. They call him an outside linebacker, but he's a defensive end. He's a pass rusher. Who cares what he's called? I guess he's a really elite pass rusher. So got to keep our eye on those 2 guys. Any questions?
Coach, with your running back room, we talked about it a lot. You're going to look at those guys who are getting the yards per carry, getting that up there.
Yeah.
Do you kind of view this group right now as whoever has the hot hand in this particular game? That's who we're going to go with.
Yeah, it's such it's really appreciate the question, because I think a week or 2 ago that question was asked in the context of, is it Van Shield or is it David Afari? And now Darius Stewart has taken control of that position because of his yards per carry. His yards per carry right now are the best. We haven't lost any confidence in the other guys in that running back room. I've been saying it all the way since the summer. You and I have been talking about it for months. That running back room is deep. I have a lot of confidence in those guys. Their teammates have a lot of confidence in them. I feel good whenever I see any of them go into the game. And we haven't even really started talking about Jaquez or Hornbeak. I mean, some of these guys, Meese is just kind of getting his first action. There are a lot of guys that can win games for us, and it's incumbent on them to really work out the depth chart. I like to tease them and say, you're all just 6-sided dice. I put you all in a cup and shake it out and see who's rolling 6 today. That's how we want to deal with it.
How is it then, Ed, that Caden kind of made his debut last week? I think those were his first touches
Sure.
Of the year, right?
Yeah.
Why then? Why was he brought into the mix then?
He wasn't healthy before.
That's what I thought. I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it was his first time returning to health. He's like all of those guys. He has an established history of running well and running hard and being considered a starting back. And so through his practice reps and then what he delivered in the game, that's why that decision was made. And to be fair, I'm kind of answering for the offensive coaches here, and in terms of conversations that they have, it's probably 10 times the number of minutes of any conversation I've been a part of. But I do know that we have high level trust in all the backs, and what you see is an opportunity for each of them to step forward with their yards per carry.
Can I stay with the backs for a second?
Sure.
I don't think, I don't know, did David play? I don't think David played at all against ACU. And Van, limited number of carries? Are they dealing with injuries?
I don't know. Like, can you give me some context? Do you want to report on the injury?
I mean, I think that kind of answers it right there, right?
Does it?
Are they hurt? And what can you tell me about?
Everybody's hurting. They are available.
They are
Yeah,
available.
if it's not disrespectful for me to just stay with those words,
Yep.
available, not available, they are available, and they were both available in the game.
Gotcha. I just wanted to ask, and how you answer is how you answer, and I'm figuring that out.
Thanks, Ed.
Coach, can you spend some time just talking about Hank Gibbs?
Yep.
His role, didn't know what it was going to be. It was a quarterback battle in the offseason, and then you get to it, it's Castelli, but for him to just kind of stay in it and then come up with some monster plays for you in this last game.
Right, yeah. I just got to speak first to Hank's toughness mentally. I think, we actually had a conversation late in the week where we felt like, hey, in the context of Peter getting hurt, are we doing the right thing here, Hank? Because when Hank when the starting nod went to Peter for the season, we have such high respect for Hank and felt like he needed to be on the field that we started talking about other positions. And so he had actually been spending time in the tight end room trying to pick up that position. And we always felt like that he was still a guy at quarterback that could lead us to wins, but yet obviously the more times he spends in the tight end room, the less time the less prepared he'll be to do that at quarterback. So toward the end of the week, we were feeling like, Hank, you could end up playing here, and he was feeling that too, and feeling the strain of really not being as much into the game plan tuning as he would have been had he stayed at QB. So for him to come in on with less preparation and really spark our team, I think just speaks volumes to the team's belief in him and his abilities. And so I'm really excited about what he can bring going forward from a leadership standpoint, from a physicality standpoint. And we do need to get our passing game going better. And what you saw at the end of the game was in part because we just had not prepared him to open it up. He is capable of much more than that with his arm. And probably shouldn't give that away to the opponent, but I want to give that away to the team and to Hank and to anybody who cares to listen right now. We have a high confidence in Hank's ability to throw the football.
Coach, you got to be pleased with the physicality and the weight room activity. Can you just elaborate going forward on the encouraging parts? It looks like a completely different team, and just has to get there. But the physicality looks like it's been incredibly improved.
I appreciate that. Yeah, you may have heard me say, I know the players have, but I've said on many occasions, we're going to be a weight room team first. We're going to be a foundational weight room team, and if we happen to be good at football, that's even better. And I think most of the time you guys really understand with how hard we work at football that's a shtick, that's an act where we just say, look, we're not gonna be enamored with being fresh and cut out our in-season lifting. We're gonna lift and be strong, and we're gonna play physical. But it kind of got us there. We played the game stronger, we played the game more physical, and we lost. And really feel like at that moment that better coaching can make the difference. I acknowledge that to the players. In a close football game, better coaching, better playing, more luck. Anything could have turned the tide, and we all have a responsibility there. It's one of the things I really enjoy about being a head football coach is being able to stand in front of the team after losses or wins and first correct things and acknowledge things that I should have done better, and then move to our coaches and then correct the players.
After looking at the video, Coach, sorry about that, Ann.
Go.
I'm sorry. How did Levi Johnson play?
Levi played really well. Yeah, we're really pleased with him. Just his progression has been so linear. He's a lot like Aiden Moe. I think I talked about this a week or two ago with Aiden. When Aiden is attacking something in his game, a weakness, and masters it, as soon as you see it show up on film, it's like the old piece never comes back. Whether that's staying square or keeping a base or the way he punches, where his palms are, and that's Levi. They're just both incredibly conscientious young men, great students, great leaders, but also kind of quiet and reserved. A lot of offensive linemen are kind of like that. Sometimes the best guys are. They until you're in there with them in the room, you think there's not a lot of personality on the offensive line, but when they're together, it's probably the group with the most sense of humor. They just kind of keep to themselves.
Who's going to start at quarterback this week, Ed? Has that been determined yet?
I can tell you who's starting today. That's Hank.
Hank is starting today?
Yeah, every practice is a new evaluation. We have great confidence in Hank. We have great confidence in all of our players. You and I have talked about this before. I certainly understand the question, who's going to start on Saturday.
I had to.
Yeah, we have full contact practice, 2 of them in a row. There's today Hank is going to take the first team reps, and we're all excited for Hank.
What is, if you can tell me this, I'm going to ask anyway, what is Peter's status? Are we talking about weeks? And I don't know what you can say, so I'm just going to put that on the table and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
We're getting good at this.
Yeah, he's on. I feel like I should have a Bree Cleveland, our trainer here, at these. And I would direct a lot of the questions to her. He's completely unavailable right now, and I can speak for all this week, which should be a strong indication that he's not available next week. But to be very honest, and like guys, with that type of injury, that can surprise and heal at different rates. It's a non-surgical injury, so we expect, hope that he's going to be back at some point this season. I don't know. He's unavailable this week.
Can I go again?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I don't want to be a hog here, guys. You said somewhere after, I think CSU, around CSU, before CSU, that Hank was a situational quarterback for the team. I might understand this better after your last answer there, but please allow me to put this on the table. And that the whole playbook was open to Jonah.
Yep.
What was it about the guy's skills that dictated that direction? Because I'm with the perspective from last year where, you know, Hank was the next guy up in the QB depth chart ladder.
Right.
So how did it happen that Hank's playbook shrunk,
Sure.
so
yeah.
to speak? I
Yeah.
hope that's a clear question.
I'm really glad for that question to clarify that in part in case Hank decides to watch this as well, because we don't always get, no matter how many times we try to communicate, it's not always 100% understood. So when it looked like Peter would be the starting quarterback, we all knew that Hank needed to be in the game.
Okay.
So there's a very limited number of repetitions for the backup quarterback. We created specific repetitions, but in order to do that, you know, we wouldn't pick, for example, if we have 60 reps available to us a day, and the starting quarterback takes 35 or 40 of them, then what we've got left there for 2 and 3, if you're trying to practice the whole playbook, that can be difficult. So we felt like, okay, Hank needs to be on the field a lot. So let's practice him at some other positions and shrink his playbook at quarterback. So it was on us. That's what I'm trying to say is when he didn't throw the ball well in the game, it's on us, not on his lack of skill set. We did not prepare him to read out our current package of, you know, there's a playbook that's this thick. It's all on computer now. We don't have it anymore. But there's a playbook. Everybody has a playbook. And all the plays that you see every Saturday and Sunday are pretty much in everybody's playbook. And then we have a game book or a game plan. And the game plan is a much smaller piece of that. And for a quarterback to be playing tight end and special teams and then somehow keep track of how that playbook becomes a different game book every week can be a real challenge.
Got kind of most of that from the previous, but I want to just.
And that's where Jonah's opportunity came. Jonah had some great practices, some great scrimmages, and we felt like, okay, well, if we are going to move Hank somewhere else, it's not necessarily that Jonah had beaten out Hank. Jonah was practicing the whole playbook. He was preparing completely as a quarterback, and you know, it just didn't translate well enough in the game for Jonah or for us. And Jonah's still going to be a valuable part of our team going forward, and he's still one play away from leading our team at any given moment.
Thank you.
I kind of hate to go back to the Abilene game, but you mentioned it was like a tale of two different situations.
Yeah.
Do you think kind of in the third quarter when it got bogged down, was there any aspect of playing and coaching not to lose instead of coaching and playing to win? Or is that even something you kind of believe in or adhere to?
The play calls in that moment didn't change. We looked at that, and I told the team before the game, in fact, that I don't do a speech in the locker room. We don't always have, at this level of football, we don't always have a locker room that everybody can fit in. So that's one reason I don't. And also I've just never been that way. The legendary coach that I played for, Coach Edwards, was not a pregame locker room speech guy. So my speech usually comes earlier on Saturday morning. And one of the last things I said to the players before we took the field is, be aggressive, play confident, and if you see us as coaches not calling the game aggressive and confident in you, let us know. That's fair game. We're in this together. And so one of the first things I did is go back and check our play calling aggression during that time, and it was not different. I give Abilene credit for coming out of the locker room with you know, a little more motivation to claw their way back into the game, and anything that on our part that allowed them to do that was, you know, could have been inadvertently because of that situation. Trying to protect the lead, sure.
But I guess based on that answer, no players came up to you as coaches and said that?
No, they didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, they did not. Not that I'm aware of. They could have went to the coordinators, but I didn't hear about anything like that.
Is this Do you wanna go?
Oh, no,
Sorry.
no, no.
Is this team and program at a point, Ed, where it has to learn to win, and what does that even mean exactly?
Yeah, it's hard to speak for, it's a really fair question, do we have to learn to win
Or what does it mean to
before we
you?
win? Yeah, it's hard to answer that for a team, it's hard to answer anything, a mindset of a whole team, but it's my job to try to pinpoint that. And I think the evidence is out there that, yeah, we have to learn to win as a team. I thought we, you know, when you, 2 out of our 3 games now, we've outgained the opponent. You know, we had a lot of turnovers in the Incarnate Word game, and next to almost 0 takeaways, and that was the tail of that game. And then in this game here, Abilene Christian, you know, basically every drive that they got going ended in a touchdown or the winning field goal. And you know, to hold them to a field goal on any one of those drives, to get an extra stop on any one of those drives, either one of those 2-minute situations, which we've been very good at in practice. We practice 2-minute drill twice a week, and to not you know, to not come out of those situations with a win. Those are 2-minute situations. The game is on the line, and so yeah, I think we do have to win, or learn to win, and learn to recognize those moments and play better in those moments.
Coach, you tried to change something right at the coin toss at the beginning of the game.
Right.
What can you tell me what happened there?
So I'll have to go all the way back to when I was in college, and I served as captain for a game. We had to kick off twice, and I made the error of having to kick off twice. And how do I say this? It was 100% my fault, but the reason I made a mistake is because the coach was trying to get me to take a direction. And so if you know how the coin toss goes, when you if you win the toss and defer, then the other team pretty much has to take the ball at that point, and then the direction decision comes back to the defer team. And so that's just one scenario, but the direction is usually the third thing. And you know, I wasn't trained enough and wasn't smart enough in that moment, and so I said, we want to defend that end zone, you know, and so we ended up kicking off twice. Most of the time nowadays, the officials don't allow that to happen. They ask you for sure. So I didn't send our captains out with that instruction, even though we had a play that we felt like was better going one direction than the other. And so I went to the official on our sideline before the toss started, and because one other difference between now and 30 years ago is that they have what they call O-to-O communication. The officials are all wearing headsets and microphones. They can talk to each other at any time. So I said, hey, if it comes down to a direction, we're going to try to defer here, but if it comes down to a direction, we would like to defend this end zone. And so it was out of protocol for me to ask it that way. It should have and could have worked, and the official apologized, but it's not his job to make that happen in that moment, and it just was too late. So.
How about Kamari? How did he play, Owens?
Yeah, Kamari has been on a real upswing in terms of his preparation, his commitment, his strength, his body weight, and I thought it showed up on game day. We need him. He's a very natural coverage guy, and those are rare in football, and he does a really good job in the coverages, understands what he's doing in the man coverages and in the zone coverages, and came up with a nice aggressive tackle, didn't flinch at all, and that's a big moment for a young player like that, to step up and give us valuable reps.
Noah Mangum also kind of 6 months ago, you probably would have thought that he would be locked in there at that position, right? He's had to really fight for that position, hasn't he?
Yes, yeah. Right now, Noah and LaDavion are our starting guys, and we're trying to get as many, as much of a rotation out there as we can with Nate Gillis and Kamari, and those young guys have done an admirable job. But Noah and LaDavion have been our starting corners. I think you might be referring to when Noah was out for a week.
Right.
With a minor injury. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's coming back from that, and he's back to full speed now.
Any more questions?
I have one more, unless someone else, Michael Jordan getting his hands up, batting balls down. I think he got 2. I think it was him.
Yeah.
But you want to see your defensive lineman doing that.
Our defensive line played the best game that they've played. I'm glad you kind of prompted me on that. And MJ's one of the real leaders up there in terms of his preparation, the fire that he plays with. He's also channeled his game for fewer, kind of personal fouls. He had some hands to the face issues last year. Just kind of effort penalties, not cheap, not after the whistle stuff. Just kind of during the play. He's just channeled his technique a lot more. Coach Fernandez has done a great job with those guys, but Kevon Lakes had his best game by far, and he's just a rugged player, strong hands. Those guys were plugging up the A gaps, B gaps. The ball was spilling off the table to our outside linebackers who were really active in the game, and D-line was doing a great job. What you're talking about is we call those the Skelly windows. In practice, we have a drill we call Skelly. The offensive lineman and defensive lineman are out of the drill, and it's just passing against the secondary, passing, and you can throw all you want, 4 feet high. You should have a 80-90% completion rate as an offense in Skelly. But when the D-line is there, they close down a lot of those windows, and they did a great job of closing down some of those Skelly windows and making the quarterback have to put the ball a little further out on the perimeter.
We didn't talk, that got lost in the Colorado State. I should have asked you that when we talked, was it LaDavian setting up the fumble, and then I think Michael Jordan made the recovery to set up the touchdown.
Right.
Which was one of the few times that I remember seeing some turnovers leading to points like that. So.
Yeah, we need more of that.
Yep.
Our takeaways have been pretty sparse this year. We need to do a better job of getting takeaways. The teams that we've played have been good football teams that don't turn the ball over, and they haven't been pressed. We a lot of times you get more takeaways when you're winning, and the other team is straining to get back in the game, straining for extra yardage, straining to thread passes into tight windows, and we got to do a better job of earning leads, getting leads, holding on to leads, building leads, and then getting some of those sacks and TFLs and takeaways that happen in those moments too to get the overall numbers up.
More? Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.